See, okay,
This meeting is being recorded.
good. Okay. So first of all, has to be said, Happy International Women's Day, everybody. And thank you for having us. Thank you, Natalia, for organizing this. I think, as you may know, let me see if I can. Are you seeing lots of? Are you just seeing the slide?
Yes.
Okay. But we are Nasoni, and we are developing a product that we'd really like to get your input and feedback on, because you are the people that we're trying to serve with our faucet. I circled down here, it's International Women's Day is about equity, but that really is kind of the background of this product that we're developing. We're learning a lot about belonging and accessibility and universal accessibility, and kind of making things easier for people who have motor impairments. And so that's really our goal, is to try and make life easier, make activities of daily living easier for a variety of people with a variety of motor impairments. So this is the product, the prototype, if you will, that we're developing. And we're in clinical trials right now with a number of spinal cord injury patients at Old Dominion University in Virginia in their physical rehabilitation center. And this faucet has a number of different features that we're developing to try and accommodate different faucet-related activities and water-related activities for people with, varying degrees of motor impairment. So why do we want to hear from you? Because you know better than anyone else what your daily challenges are, what sorts of solutions that you're using in the bathroom and in daily living. And we really want to learn from you and hear from you. What are your challenges related to, faucet ADLs, with teeth brushing and drinking water and washing hands and reaching the faucet and temperature control and washing your face and those sorts of things. So it'd be great to hear from you. What are your challenges? What, individually and otherwise.
Jen, if I could just break in for a second, can you go, it's a little small to read. Can you go to like presentation mode, maybe, and make it a little easier to see some of the questions?
How's that?
Much better, much better.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So, this is kind of an open discussion, like you have in your group, I'm sure. But we just want to get your thoughts about this idea. And again, understand, when you're using a bathroom faucet, what are some of the challenges you encounter, and what are some of the solutions that you're using, and how could we potentially improve on those?
I guess I'll chime in a little bit. So I kind of wanted to know, like, is your product being available in houses? Is it being available in public spaces first? I mean, for me, being able to reach the faucet is always a big deal when I go out into public spaces. Luckily, I'm at home. I have an ADA accessible sink cabinet area, so I'm able to roll under and reach it. But that might be something I'd want to look at first, but definitely reaching the faucet, and then maneuvering the different handles or anything that's on there. So is your product automatic, or is it sensory related? Like those kind of things are something that I always look towards. And where is it placed on the sink? Like, is it placed in the front, on the side, so I can roll under and put both my hands under closer to me, or same thing, like reaching too far to the back of the sink? Those kind of things are important to me. And then it depends on, because it says how important is it to address these. So it's important, like if you're using it in public space, like I feel like this would be really important, because I've been to so many public places where I can't even use the sink. And usually if I'm by myself, I'm always asking the person that's next to me to like turn it on or like sensor it, like activate the sensor. So those are just some kind of things I'm thinking of off the top of my head right now.
And also, I want to ask you, those, it seems like it has some sensors on top. That, you know, if somebody's short, like she's saying, like Greta is saying, I'm short too, so I'm in a, right now, I'm not in a motorized chair. I'm in a self-wheeling chair. So I'm short. So if the pad, the sensory pad is on top, I wouldn't be able to see it and help myself do the sensory because I'm already short.
Great. Steve, do you want to talk about any of the technology, just to maybe give them a little color around what the functionality is?
Right now, we are testing it, and we've had people that were 5 foot tall. We've had somebody that was 6'5". So we've had different heights, and people that were shorter. Typically, some of them sat on pads in their wheelchair, some did not. And so we're using it with a different range. We have 3 different methods to actuate it. One is voice control. You could just say, Alexa, can you turn on my water fountain? Or Alexa, I want to wash my hands. And it would automatically turn it on to your preferred temperature. So the hot and the cold would come on. If you want it, if you like it 95 degrees or someone else likes it 105, it would know your preferred temperature that you want to wash your hands or wash your face with. We're also developing it with a spray nozzle. So it could spray and rinse facial cleanser or shaving cream if you're a guy. So we're trying to make it new and novel to do things that you normally couldn't do with a faucet. And we're testing it with a range of different users. Right now, everybody that's testing it are all spinal cord, SCI, C7 and above. Does that help?
Yeah, there's also
Yeah.
one of the things we're interested in is hydration as well. So how you get water and stay hydrated, because this there's a spray nozzle, but it also is a water fountain. So just like a water fountain, the spray comes out of the top. You know, for, again, it could be used for face washing, but for drinking, filling water bottles, that sort of thing. So
Jen, did you show them the video?
no, I didn't.
Do you want to show it to them? You have the link. It's just a prototype right now that, you know, it's not a very far along. Okay. We only been working on a few months.
Let me see if I can find it. Let me see.
I was gonna say, are you targeting it towards public or like home use, or do you
Both.
have both? Okay. So
Yeah, I mean,
is
we
there,
believe there would be use in like physical therapy centers or the Veterans Affairs, Defense Health Agency, things of that nature. If you
okay,
like,
because
Jen,
I
if I
think,
could share my screen, I'll show the video.
yeah, I think this would be a great option in public bathrooms, especially because half the time, or at least having one of the faucets somewhere for like a disability access one, because honestly, it's like really, it's embarrassing and difficult if you can't like wash your hands after using the bathroom. Like I hate it.
So
And
there is an emotional concern here, and we realize that.
Yeah. I just think it's like everybody's always saying like wash your hands, but like no one actually thinks about the accessibility of their sink.
Exactly.
So,
Jen, I just sent it to you privately, direct message. Can you pull the video up? Because I can't share.
Yeah, I'm having some, hold on 1 second. I'm going to stop sharing and get the video. Okay, go back to
Okay,
sharing.
Gretchen, I didn't even think about the whole public use of it because I get capped. So I didn't even think to the whole washing the hands thing that, yeah,
So
I can
we've got-
understand how that.
So to explain, I've got 2 interns working with us too, because we want them to learn. So these are mechanical engineering interns at Old Dominion University, and they're doing the 3D printing. So we're 3D printing the faucet, some advanced technology. You can see it on the screen there. And again,
One in
Oops,
4
sorry, Steve.
Americans, including
go ahead, turn it
1.6
up.
Virginians living with disabilities, and Virginia's 3 million senior citizens experience significant difficulty performing everyday tasks. As technology develops, an increasing proportion of products are inaccessible to people with a range of different disabilities, the overlooked consumer. At the most fundamental level, in line with Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of human needs, the core of independence is being able to care for oneself, ensuring safety and security, and being able to be self-sufficient in basic tasks.
That's our current faucet.
Working hard since our SBIR award this past June, and our ODU engineering interns, Kylie and Michael, have been very involved. Here you see them installing newly printed 3D components that were redesigned to replace some that had failed. Next, we will show you some of our Smart Sense technology.
Alexa, turn the Nasoni faucet to fountain mode.
Okay.
Notice the digital display indicating fountain mode.
You wouldn't have to touch it.
Dehydration and oral hygiene are known concerns for motor impaired individuals. ODU intern Michael Nixon is demonstrating motion sensor technology for actuating the fountain mode.
Alexa, turn Nasoni faucet to grooming mode.
In grooming mode, it must warm the water temperature to the preset desired by the user. Craig is demonstrating facial rinsing with a warm, gentle fountain stream. What I'd like to show you here is how Access H2O's Smart Sense technology, when hand washing mode is activated, brings the water temperature up to the desired temperature preset for the individual user. What you're seeing now is some of the coding we use behind the scenes to control our eye gaze technology. When a user gazes at the right sensor, fountain mode is activated. You can
could
see
even
it
control it with your eyes.
for all of us, whether we consider ourselves disabled or not. We will, at some time in our life, whether through age, illness, or accidents, have a short or longer term disability. Nasoni believes that we can play a role in creating a more inclusive community through technology. We're using tools like computer vision and machine learning to develop a revolutionary smart faucet that will help the forgotten feel well and included.
What do you think, guys?
Give me this one.
Any thoughts?
Take the other.
It's
Take the
very
other
cool.
because it's gonna be in her way.
It looks very, very cool.
I really like the option.
I'm sorry?
I like the option of having the voice control because that would really help in most situations. My thing is when I'm looking at it, I see how far over they're leaning over to the faucet, and that's kind of where I would say placement wise, I would have a little bit of difficulty.
Let me help you with
because I
that.
don't have the core. Mhm.
So that's a perfect question. So let me help you with that. We're making it so we can angle the nozzles. So if you need it coming more closer to the edge of the sink, it'll tilt forward.
Okay, yeah, that would be something I would look at too. And then, do you have an option to put, like, you know how drinking fountains are on the side of the sink?
Yeah.
Or like something like that, like where you can maneuver either to the front, like in case you're at a home where it's not where the build, because I had to renovate my whole bathroom, which was really expensive. But honestly, if I had just put the faucet at the desired location, that would be something that I would have preferred instead of.
Yeah, well, when somebody went
removing.
to install the sink or renovate, let's say renovate the bathroom, they could just flip the sink 90 degrees and put the faucet still in the same place on the sink, but it would be turned just for your
Yeah.
needs. So I mean,
Okay.
that's what I would recommend there.
Okay.
But as you can see, there are maybe you didn't catch it all, but there are 3 modes to use it. One is motion. So here's an example of the faucet, right? You can just wave your hand by it or put it in front of it or the other side. So one side controls the water stream, the fountain stream, and one will control a spray, a little spray that'll come out. And then the other way is Alexa voice and maybe Google voice. We're going to do that in phase 2. And then the next thing is, if you, let's say you don't have arms, let's say you're an army guy in Iraq and your arm, you lost your limbs in an IED explosion and you lost your voice. You could stare at it and actuate each of these individually with your eyes. So 3 different ways you can control it.
Okay.
And we're doing clinical testing right
It's very
now.
fascinating.
Thank you.
Can I ask, are you using disabled people or are
Yes,
you
we are
your
using
interns?
SCI patients C7 and above.
Okay.
And then Steve, I think isn't there in the next phase, there'll be more testing with different individuals, is that right? Or
Yeah, we're doing 20 this phase. We did 10 able-bodied first before we even went to the clinical trial and made sure everything worked with them first, and it was 100% successful. And now we're 9 out of 20 SCI C7 and above complete, and it's still at 100% success. Now, when I say 100% success, that doesn't mean that every single one of them use all 3 modes. Some aren't able to use all 3. Like one person couldn't raise their hand up high enough, but they could use Alexa and they could use the eye gaze. Both worked.
Curious about something. Are you guys, it looks really, really cool, but it also looks kind of expensive. And I'm just wondering what you guys are doing to mitigate price, because a lot of people with disabilities don't necessarily have the resources to buy really
Absolutely.
faucets.
That's a fantastic question. And we're working to, try to figure out ways to reduce the cost, but we also need to find ways to like where we could figure out how Medicare, Medicaid, GoFundMe, all different kind of ways. And we're want to listen to you guys. Tell us what other ways you know of that we might want to follow up on, right? The durable medical equipment, we don't think that'll be an option necessarily, although I'd love for it to be, because we'd have to be a prescription in that case. And I don't think we can get a prescription involved. I just don't know. So this is where we got to learn, and we need your help to learn.
I think the question that would be interesting to hear from all of you is, what sorts of assistive technologies or just not even technology, just tools you're using, and how do you discover those, and how do you find them and decide what influences your choice to use them? Is a price a factor? And of course it is, but what ultimately makes you renovate your bathroom, for example, and spend that money? Just at a personal level, it'd be great to hear from some of you.
Price is always a factor. Price is always a factor. Go ahead,
I'm
Sylvia.
going to tell you, I live on a fixed income, and price is always a factor. I'm pretty good with my arms because my disability affects my legs. So I'm pretty good with my arm strength and everything. So I could use a regular. I'm lucky enough to be able to use a regular faucet and stuff, but the price is going to be a factor with
Sure.
a lot of disabled people, so.
Are there any things that you are able to use that help pay for things that are assistive technologies? Does Medicaid or Medicare or any of those things cover any of this kind of stuff?
Medicare.
Do you want to go ahead? Or?
No, go ahead.
As far as I know, Medicaid and Medicare will pay for well, I've got a shower bench. I've also I've had shower benches and stuff like that, and commodes and power chairs, but other than that, I don't really know how would you get funded in that capacity?
So
I think I heard you say that.
I think I heard you say that some things are paid for.
Medicaid. Excuse me?
I think I heard you say that some things in the bathroom they do cover. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So the only thing I suggest you do is possibly talk to them and have the data in front of them and say, look, this would help in the long run.
Sure.
For people, as far as I was born disabled, but people get disabled later on in life, like you said. It's inevitable, that somebody would need some kind of assistance.
Exactly.
As they get older,
The baby boomer population is facing severe chronic arthritis and things like that all the time. I'm getting it right now.
Yes.
I'm feeling it in my hands. Gretchen, I see you shaking your head a lot. I know you got something to say. Come on, tell me.
So I think for me, so I am 30 years old. I'm gonna try to buy a house soon, et cetera, you know. And for me, the first thing I think of is like, is it gonna work for me?
Mhm.
And then I also like, people don't really talk about this, but accessible design, I also want it to look pretty. So I don't like, it's got to fit the aesthetic to my house. Like, I think people think that's such a minor issue, but like for me personally, that's what I look for. Like, if other
Jen, can
people
you
can
go
use
back
it
to
as
that? Hold on. Jen, can you go back to that lead-in screen with the new design?
This one here? That's the only picture I have.
You're not showing it. We're seeing Vimeo.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
just let me try again. Let me try again.
I think share screen only lets you share one application at a time, so you might have to unshare and then go back and share.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for
Unless you
that.
share your desktop. That's the difference.
Let's see. Let me try this again. Go back to that.
I
Share.
think after you guys do the faucets, you should be looking at shower heads.
There you go. So this is our newer approach we're looking into for phase 2. What we're doing, as you can see, notice how that faucet you're seeing on the screen is lower. See how it's angled more? Because we're trying to make the height, the fountain come up from a lower position to make it easier for people to use. So what are your thoughts on the aesthetic there?
Yeah, so I really like how this looks. So what I kind of think of also is like, if I can use it, can everybody use it? And so that's where the price goes. Like, that's the
I'm laughing,
issue, right?
Gretchen, because you were
wanna make
spot
it
on.
So
That's our goal is really,
right.
is
Like,
You are
I've
spot on.
well,
And-
I've
and-
done
and
a
I
lot
say
of
that-
I've done a lot of user testing. So I like, you know what I want. And so I want to make sure that whoever's designing the product understands that it's got to be accessible to everybody, that they want it to buy it, to make the price down low.
Do you see this little hourglass?
Oh yeah.
So I want to build an hourglass timer that would come up that'll time kids brushing their teeth. So 2 minutes. And you can also time hand washing. Did you wash for 30 seconds? You know, we're trying to make this for the family. So it's not like just one out of the way faucet for one set group of people. It's for everybody. Just like you said, universal design. That's our goal.
Yeah,
Right. Tiffany, go ahead.
The voice, like I know I use Dragon Speak and it usually only works with my voice sometimes. So is this voice activated for anybody or is it for the specific person?
It sounds to me, from what I'm hearing from you, it worked fine. Can you use Alexa now?
I don't have Alexa in my house, but I'm sure I could put her here somewhere.
From what I hear from your voice now, it would be perfect. You'd be fine. Because you know, Alexa works very well. It's very widely distributed from Amazon. So we're not inventing the voice control. We're repurposing it. That's all. So because it has such a broad use base, it's very good at what it does.
But you are doing it so that it's temperature controlled because
absolutely,
as most quadriplegics, at least in my experience, can't feel their hands.
No, that's exactly right. And the temperature will display on the screen, as you can see there. So you can also tell what it is visually. And we're looking at ways like when it's hot, it'll be red. When it's cool, it'll be blue. So you'll also see colors. It'll be color coded, you know, and it'll also have anti-scald prevention built into it, things like that.
Have you thought of the soap dispensing aspect?
That'll be
of
handled
this?
separately. We could build another soap dispenser, but now you're talking again, price increase.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say, can you add it into the faucet somehow?
we had to draw the line on features to control the price, you know.
So Gretchen, you mentioned public spaces and you know, we're kind of thinking about that, but where do you like, would it be restaurants? Would it be hotels? Like, where do you airports? Like, where do you really see, if anything, a need for this sort of widespread distribution of something like this?
Concert
So
venues.
I think we were talking about like even kids, older adults. So it has to be like all spaces. I remember like an airport situation was like the most annoying to me, because I'm like, it's so many people, I need to wash my hands. I go into the bathroom and none of it's accessible. And I was just like, this is absolutely unacceptable at an airport. So public spaces, transit spaces, like those are important. Obviously hospitals. Yeah, obviously hospitals and even schools. Like I feel like kids have like the bathroom, and like kids with disabilities are often overlooked as well. So for them to go into public schools, first of all, kids don't wash their hands. So, unless they're reminded of, and then if kids with disabilities don't have like an accessible one, they're definitely not going to wash their hands. So I think it's like important to think of like that universal design in that way as well, right? Like we're not just targeting kids with disabilities, but kids, this would be like easy for them. They would think of it as like, oh, I'm talking to Alexa to wash my hands for 2 minutes. They'll be more inclined to wash their hands. So I think those massive spaces like that, even college campuses for students with disabilities, like it should be in a public place so you're not feeling excluded from such a simple universal thing, if that makes sense.
Yes, that's like we're trying to make it for everybody, just like you're saying. And
right.
One of the things that you mentioned was almost gamifying it, right? Did you wash your hands? Well, you think about in a family setting, right? You got kids and you want to encourage them to brush their teeth, right? So the faucet, if it could track the individual users, how many times they brushed, the parents could say, hey, Susie, you get the prize this week because you brushed more than Dave did.
Right. So it could be used for everybody, not necessarily just with people with disabilities or, limited function. But my thing also is like, I think when you talked about getting like funding or those kind of things, Google had like talking to big companies like this, like Google had given out so many of their home minis as like a grant for a certain period of time. That's how I received my Google Home Mini. And I was like,
What
wow,
is a home
so
mini? I'm sorry. What is a home mini?
it's like the Alexa, but like
Okay.
the same thing. But like from there, I was able to discover all of the other accessibility features that went with it. So if you market it towards a certain group and maybe get like a big company behind it to distribute a few so people can at least try it and know that this is available, then you could talk to, home, the Granville or like big home building people too. So they know like if they have to build for someone with a disability, they can offer like that. Because honestly, I would not have known any of this until the SCI Foundation had reached out and said, this is an available accessibility feature that you can use at your home. We're giving you half off from part of the foundation.
So the foundation covered part of the cost?
Yes. So like Google teamed up with Christopher Reeve Foundation for spinal cord injury patients and handed out like these Google minis.
That's really
but
helpful
from
to know.
there exactly but from there I was able to see that, oh wow, you can attach different things to this Google Mini. And so I went out and bought like a light switch thing, like all of those things. So like that's how you kind of market it in a way where like, oh, I might need this,
So
this is Natalia. Sorry, I just want to thank you for mentioning that, Gretchen, because I didn't have the opportunity to speak earlier. But we're talking about funding. Medicaid and insurances are most likely not going to fund these things, but you can always look for grants. Us as people that want to purchase, we can look for grants. There are tons of grants for people with spinal cord injuries and for other injuries as well. But also, like Gretchen was mentioning, you guys can try and get a grant from Christopher Reeve, from NIH, from Nielsen. There's like big, huge funders. You can get a grant so that when you market this, you can do it concurrently. You know what I mean? And be able to at least, if you can say, we could cut the price down for 100 of these,
Yeah, we got a grant
consider.
to develop it. Naomi, you got something to say before you sign off?
Oh, no, she had to go.
Okay.
Oh, but in case I have to go on mute again, I'm so sorry because I'm probably gonna have to mute again. I just wanted to say for me, a lot of times I have to park next to the sink, not under it. And so a longer faucet that I can get to closer to the edge.
What you might have missed is that we're gonna make those nozzles adjustable so we can change and tilt it to the edge.
Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, I
good.
missed that. Thank you. All right, I'm
Yeah,
done.
no worries.
Thank you, Natalia.
Yeah.
I had a question about how the voice control would work in a public space. I mean, if you don't have like Alexa in a public bathroom or whatever. So does it still work as a voice control?
That's a
without
great
that kind of-
question. Yeah, that's a great question that we need to solve in phase 2. We'll have to look into. Jen, will you take a note on that one?
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
Voice control in a public setting, which is great. That's a great question.
You can imagine. That's a great point, Lauren. All of a sudden I'm imagining like an airport with like people just, yeah. I just want to wash my hands, be quiet. Any other questions or thoughts that we haven't touched on, or questions we haven't asked?
I wanted to mention though, like on that point, like, you know, at airports, or I'm sure I just haven't noticed them, but they have those family restrooms with a disability, like they're separate for use. Like that would be a great way to start first.
Yeah.
And because they're like private bathrooms, or
And
like
Alexa
one
would work in
single-
there, right?
Right. So I would
Yeah.
like play around with like looking at those first instead of like a massive
Yeah, no,
you
that's a
know,
great thought.
thing like that. Yeah.
That's a great thought.
We can tell you're in user testing, Gretchen.
And by the way, when you say that, when you say
Policy back.
family, you know, when you say family, I mean, that's generally, it's anybody can use it, not just men or women or whatever, right? It's anybody, first come, first serve. And
Right.
so, yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I like that idea.
I like to plan for the future, so I want to like use all this stuff and see what I want.
And definitely having it available at a concert venue when you have to use one of those restrooms, because there's quite a few. That would
Oh,
be
yeah.
helpful. And then I'm just trying to think of most venues that I go to. Yeah, their sinks, if I were the one washing my hands, their sinks are either too high or somebody would have to reach really far forward in order to turn it on. Or we get to ask the person next to us to please turn on the water, which is always kind of like, you know, not so great.
So can we ask a question on routines at the sink? Like, what are the biggest problem areas you have? Is it, do you ever need to rinse your eyes for allergies? Do you ever have, I mean, I'm thinking out loud, right? Do you rinse your face? Do you need get a drink? Do you need to hydrate? Do you need to rinse after you brush your teeth? What's the number one thing that you think you need help with? The problem areas in using a sink. Sure.
Okay. The thing with me is that when I wash my face, because I wash it every day, with soap and water, is that I have to put. Can you see my hands? I'd have to
Cup and
just go like
splash.
this and splash and do the
Cup-
splash. And half the time, it never hits the face anyway.
100%. My wife did that all the time. It's so funny you mentioned that.
So having this, just like going on it, perfect, easy.
So
Easy
you know what?
breezy.
So I invented the faucet because I got tired of craning my neck underneath, underneath the faucet. And so Jen, can you pull that link up and let's switch your screen to that? I want them to see something.
Which link, the video?
The one I just sent you in the chat.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't see it.
And actually, I meant to send that to everybody that everybody can
Stop
get.
sharing. I think it is. It's in, okay.
So just click on that link and share your screen again, and I'll guide you where to go.
Okay, just a second. Share screen. Dude, how are we on time? Natalia? Okay.
So
Can-
see where it says reviews, Jen? This is Nasoni's page. Now scroll down. Just scroll down.
Just a second.
We're on the reviews page, so everybody knows, under Real People, Real Stories. You clicked on it. Go back.
Go back. Okay.
Now scroll down.
Oh, okay.
So keep going down. Right there. Stop. In the middle. Becky in Virginia.
Want me to play that?
Yeah. Is it, how do you pronounce your name? Selvi?
Sylvie.
Okay. So Selvi, my wife did the same as you. If you can make your page a little bit bigger.
Yeah, hold on. I'm trying to figure out how to move it on my screen.
All right. So she used to do the same thing, Selvi, you did. Cup and splash, water gets all over the counter. It was a big mess. And so with our current faucet, I never thought of this when I invented it. Let me show you what she does now. That's our bathroom. That's my wife.
All right, I'll hit play.
Yeah.
Okay, it's Sunday night and I'm getting ready to wash my face with my Nasoni faucet and want to show everybody how I do that every single night. I really love how it works so well to rinse my face. And I can get it wet before I even put the cleanser on.
She's got warm water coming out. Turn hot and cold on, warm water.
And a little bit with a washcloth. And then I can rinse it so easily.
Selby, is that cleaner? Is that easier?
Yes, yes, much.
And it saves water and it works.
And I'm gonna be honest, I need a cup to wash, to take the toothpaste out of my mouth.
Yeah.
I use a cup because, it's like I don't have, it's a nuisance doing it with your hand,
Right.
And
your
so,
hand might not be clean.
Yeah, exactly. So this is so much simpler.
So you would get rid of the cup if you had the water fountain. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
I'll tell you something else. We did a study, a scientific study, and it's proven that the cup is dirtier than the fountain stream, because if you have the cup and you don't wash it often, it's exposed to the aerosol effect from the toilet, which has E. coli and staphylococcus that float through the air and land on all the surfaces in that cup.
Yeah.
Well, in our study, the fountain nozzle was exposed to that same E. coli that float through the air, but it did not stay in the nozzle because it got rinsed out when you turn the fountain feature on. So we have scientific proof it's cleaner to drink from the fountain stream. Does that make a difference to you as well?
Yes. And it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, I think you ladies usually stop around this time. I'm not sure how much more time we have, but you've certainly been generous with your time. Are any other questions or last minute thoughts?
You had mentioned talking about drinking water before. Is that part of the sink? Is it filtered, or is that
there are, if you see this, there are optional under counter filters you can get that go in the cold water line underneath the vanity. So they can be added. Now it's only good for municipally treated water, meaning you can't use it with a well, with well water.
Right. Okay.
Because well water has too many impurities.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Right.
That's a great question.
Yeah, I use a Camelback, so that would actually maybe come in handy for my mom when she has to fill up the bag sometimes.
A lot of people like it because they can refill water bottles from their bathroom because they got clean water from their bathroom instead now.
Yes.
Yeah, and the caregiver aspect, you mentioned your mom is also another kind of user, if you will, that we're trying to focus on as well, to kind of alleviate some of the, the need for a caregiver to assist or to, fill Camelback or, that kind of thing. And hopefully, relieve some of the time that's spent on caregiving, while allowing the recipient to engage more in activities on their own. So that's really the goal.
Yeah, I mean, do you see it giving you some more independence if you were to have something like this?
I think it would. Yeah, I think it would give others more independence than myself. So I'll let them answer that question.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it would help in a lot of aspects, but again, I wouldn't pay to get it.
Understood.
I'm sorry.
Sure, understood. No, that's fair.
Yep.
All feedback is helpful.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it has to be marketed. Like, I would also recommend going to spinal cord rehab and having their OTs understand it too, so that way you could introduce it at a time where for me, I have a lot of function back now, but when I was first injured, I couldn't do anything on my own. So getting that education then would have been so much more helpful when I was building my house, my bathroom at that time. Because at like, 8 years later, I'm like, oh wow, like I figured out how to maneuver different things. And like I've had to build things custom to myself. But if you had this on the market, I wouldn't have had to build it custom, So I think like going to rehab centers or hospitals and really talking to their OT/PTs and having them work with the patients with this technology beforehand always is going to be better than just marketing it to people that have already figured it out, if that makes sense.
No, it does.
Okay.
And we have 3 OTs, well, 1 speech pathologist and 2 OTs that are on our clinical team that are helping. And then 2 PhD clinical members that the clinical director of ODU Monarch Physical Therapy is leading the clinical trials for us.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Yeah, because I get like most of my information from my OT or my, PT. They hear about this or that, and I'm like, wow, I need to check it out. So definitely recommend that. And then
Are there
definitely
organizations like that you deal with, associations and things like that you can recommend?
Yeah, so like obviously definitely talking to groups like WOW and like little groups like that around that have these support group type meetings is really helpful, especially when they're talking about home renovations or things like that. This weekend I'm going to the Abilities Expo in LA, and you guys like would be great in the home remodeling area, like for people to check it out there.
Tell me real quickly, that Abilities Expo, is that an assistive device event?
So it's for all abilities, and it's like everything that's available to them. So wheelchair traveling or traveling with disabilities does like a presentation, or like a wheelchair dance team or adaptive climbing. So different things for different areas all come together in the convention center all over.
Yeah, I mean, I was just at one in Orlando last month called the Assistive Technology Industry Association event, ATIA.
So that one's not really geared towards people with disabilities. It's more of like
companies.
Right. So the Abilities Expo, it's like free registration for people with disabilities to go and check out all these different things in one area.
So they have a lot of exhibitors, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
So I would recommend something like that. That way you get some kind of feedback there as well. Like, hey, I would want to check this out. Where can I check this out? You have a station there and you set it up and show people how to use it. Like that's going to help you get out there. And then like Christopher Reeve Foundation in California, there's the NorCal SCI Foundation. I think Nantali had mentioned the Craig H. Nielsen Foundation. Different.
Wow, I see it. Tiffany, thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome. I also put the Christopher Reeve Foundation link in there as well.
Awesome.
Two great ideas. Okay, well, I think we could probably talk to you ladies forever, but you have days to get on with. You're also lovely, and we're so appreciative to hear from you. I mean, really, it's been inspirational listening to you. I do want to see if I can get the slide up. We obviously, you've given us great ideas, but if you come up with any other brilliant ideas, feel free to send them our way. And, look in your email, just be on the lookout for an email from Amazon at some point in March, because, it's just a small token of our appreciation for your time and efforts and input. So thank you so much.
Greatly appreciated.
Thank you for
Well, you
coming.
Thank
This was great
you. Thank you for the work
information.
you're doing. Thank you for getting our input too.
Thank
You so much.
Thanks, Natalia.
And you're
for-
playing a big part in helping us bring this to market, so it's really appreciated.
Yeah. And a very critical stage. This is a very critical stage for us. So your input at this stage is really guiding us. So really.
Is that your
Great.
is that your
It's great
correct
to hear.
email in the link, Jen?
Let's see. I will drop my
Yeah, Tiffany put it in.
Okay.
Tiffany just put
she
it in.
did. Okay.
I just want to make sure that it's correct.
Nice.
Yeah. Perfect.
And
Thank
then
you.
will you have future user testing panels, or like what are you planning? Okay.
Yeah, phase 1 is almost over with. We're doing the clinical trials now. We submit our phase 2 proposal the end of this month, and then about 10 months from now, we'll find out whether we get the award. And then phase 2 is a 2-year period. And in
Okay.
phase 2, we have to do 70 people clinical trials.
Okay. Okay. I
And where
look
are you
forward to
based out
seeing,
of?
yeah, I look forward to seeing what you guys come up with.
Thank you.
We'll be sure to keep you posted.
Okay.
Let us know
Thank
if you
you.
can reach out anytime.
Mhm.
Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Yeah.
Evening.
Good night. I'm gonna
Bye.
stop recording now.